Feels like big fucking. Stuck in the middle with you. Oh my god. Ah. Motherfucker. Oh. Fucking big fucking tub of fucking blood. Son of a bitch. Everything's uncomfortable. I can't get comfortable. Drove me fucking ballistic. Can't jog. Ah! Oh, God. Oh, holy fuck. Your belly hurts, hey, baby? I'm gonna go to the store. Get some lean beef for you. Shit. Ah! 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 Okay. Lulu! Hi! Hey, Lulu! Come on, Jack, come on. Oh, oh. Hi, Lulu. Fuck. Ah. 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 Come on here, Lou. Come on, Lou. Go ahead. Come on. Come on, Loki. Ah. Lulu, come on. Oh, Loki. Oh. Ah. Where's Kate?
She went to Alan's mom's, I think.
My dog's gonna need food. My dog. What are you doing?
He's giving you food?
What are you doing?
Getting Mommy's face paint.
Why?
She has a face paint job.
Oh, God.
Like a slight scent, but a good scent. Also, sugar put, by the way, my name is ready to become fundamentally. I'm here to do that by
Why the fuck won't you stay on? Dude, this is bullshit. Okay. Fine. It's so hot in here. There's some water. Hey, can someone take me a story of beef? Can someone give me a story of beef? Huh? Can someone give me the story of beef? My dog. Oh, you did?
Yeah, tons of it.
Then you boil beef for him.
Hey, that'd be cool. It's like here. There's this left over from yesterday. There's hot dogs if you want to heat those up. And that's hamburger. And then I got hamburger.
Yeah, but is it cooked?
It's cooked.
Yeah, but
I,
just boiled it.
I boiled that yesterday,
Oh, you
and
did?
then
Okay.
I fried it.
Okay, sure. That works. Want to put that in the
And then
fridge?
there's that.
Do you want a spoon like this or
Is that enough for him?
Yeah, put that in the fridge though for now.
Fridge?
Yeah,
Oh,
fridge.
fridge.
It does.
Okay. So you'll cook it tomorrow. I can eat that tomorrow. Clean out this room. There's a Tim Hortons thing here too. Is that yours, Jack?
Huh? What?
A Tim Hortons thing?
Oh, mine.
It's a wrap.
I didn't get the one.
Who's Tim Hortons wrap?
Don't know about the cake.
And we got this dog food, but he doesn't care for it. Huh?
Caesars.
It's from Britain.
That's actually a good brand.
It's
But
very expensive.
you guys got a new microwave.
Oh, the other
Well,
one cropped
you
down.
know.
And it's not new. We paid $50 on the Facebook Marketplace.
When did we do that?
Caitlin bought it. Facebook Marketplace.
I don't even remember putting it in. $3.
Yeah, no,
On
it's
sale, usually it's $5.
yeah, it's probably usually really good, but usually dogs don't take to it well.
You wouldn't take it from me.
No, usually dogs don't. I find it's better for cats.
But he's fussy when he
You like?
when he eats and when he wants
You
to
like
eat.
hot dogs? You know, they're probably
He has to get comfortable eating before he eats. And if Loki eats when he's there, he'll eat it too. Right away.
Mhm.
How come I'm on TV again? Yeah, I want to be on TV. I keep seeing my face.
I went and took apples. The apple tree?
You took an apple tree?
Girl, maybe.
No,
Oh, with bugs in them?
they're all green.
Yeah, you green apple or sour.
That's really good, actually. Do I get painkillers anytime soon?
Yeah, you gonna eat some first?
Yeah.
Do you want me to put this on your bed or where do you want to put it?
Ah!
No,
Everything hurts.
your bed. Oh, that's good. Oh, you don't want to put the bandage on your leg?
Oh my god, my ankle's for sure broken.
You want me to put it on?
Oh,
Shit, the car just went down.
probably.
Okay, lean back. I'll put it on. Oh, toast is in the
Oh, sorry, Jack. I kicked you in the mouth a little bit.
Sorry, baby. Oh, so you're using it now. That's good.
Ah!
Do you need more pillows? I think your pillows fell.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty swollen. So, so the X-ray guy called me, but I didn't get to call him back today. So I'll call him tomorrow to find out when to look at your cast and when to get more X-rays.
Maybe you could take an X-ray of your ankle too.
Yeah,
Right
that's what I'm
there, you
gonna ask.
did.
They did. And they
And?
didn't see anything.
You
No
didn't say
fracture?
anything.
Because it looks like a fracture to me. I've had foot fractures and they really fucking hurt. I think fractures hurt more than a break, believe it or not.
Technically, fracture is a break, though.
Huh?
Technically, fracture is a break.
Well, a fracture is a crack.
You heated it up, the dog food?
Yeah.
Look, he's sitting there waiting for his food, eh, Jack? Look at him looking his.
How's that feel?
Tongue.
That's okay.
Better?
Yeah.
Hi, Jack. Are you ready for supper? Okay. Can I leave you?
It's hot in here.
You want to open the blinds to
Yeah.
get more air?
Yeah, I'll do that now.
Watch that
If
thing
I
there.
don't fall over your fucking bed again,
Yeah.
let's kill this.
Watch that thing. The mother went flying weak yesterday.
Flying on a garbage can.
She destroyed the garbage can. Broke her
You
body.
did that?
Yeah, I really hurt myself too.
You actually open the blinds more. Thank
Want to
you.
see outside?
Oh, yeah. Like actual light.
I was hoping, when you sleep, you don't have lights. Is that better?
Thank you. Yeah.
What's this thing?
That's for my perfume.
It's for what?
Perfume. Cap my perfume.
Where's the perfume?
I have no idea.
I think it's smashed. I'm just fussing now, so we can, because I know you need a fuss.
It's so funny, like listening or like reading what Granny says about you. She did. She just wanted to be part of the cool kids club more.
My mother?
Well, no, like doing the Greg and Joanne thing.
I always wanted her to be hanging out with me and like, let's go to a bar, we'll have a drink. She's like, no, I would never do that. It's just like,
That's not true. She would. She would have.
I always wanted.
She always felt bad for
I
you.
always said, I wish she was my friend, and she told me one day, she goes, I'll never be your friend, I'm your mother.
But she always felt bad for you.
Did you see it really, Daniel?
Oh, that's where it came from. Cool.
Did you see it light up?
Yeah.
Spiders?
A fly. Frying it.
Whoa,
I'm not touching it.
that's.
Howard stays in it for a while.
Are you eating Jack's stuff? Madison, give it to him. He's sitting there waiting for you to feed him.
Even the skin. Skin's the worst part.
That's coming in. You're eating. Why don't you fix your pillows? Because they've fallen behind your couch. What do you think of the bed? Is it comfortable?
It is actually.
Is it? Because I know your other mattress we have in the garage, that one's way more comfortable, but it's a double and this is a queen. I didn't know
And
that.
it's
I
not
thought I
heavy
wanted.
enough to keep the bed down.
Yeah, so
It
it keeps
goes
popping up.
halfway up.
That's funny. Pretty sure people die like that way.
Fold up into the bed.
I almost died taking that thing down.
Yeah, when he was taking it down, the spring came off and almost killed him and I think Cameron Kyle.
Cameron
I mean,
smashed
Cameron.
the book.
That's a beautiful sunflower. Really beautiful.
Oh no, I was gonna come back to it.
That's neat, doesn't it? That's really good. You have to get better. Dawn wants to see you. She's been bugging me. Can I see her? Can I see her? Can I see her? And I was like, I just want her to be like okay, able for you to see her, but you seem fine. So do you want to see her?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll write to her, tell you to come anytime. She's been dying to see you.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was someone else that wrote to me. Oh, Joanne tried to, I told you she tried to have me Facebook with you.
Why?
Because I want to talk to Joanne. I want
I want to see Joanne.
You want to see Joanne too?
Yeah, it's crazy. I love her. She's so crazy.
You're so crazy too, so two get better.
No, but she's actually doing better.
Is she?
She's on painkillers.
Medication?
She's on painkillers.
And that helps her?
No, it's good that she's on painkillers. Like, that's what she was really struggling with. And her boyfriend is a really good. Her boyfriend's dad is a social worker.
Oh. Would you like to speak to a social worker? There's this
Why
girl.
would I speak to a social worker?
Listen, there's this girl that I know. She's rocket.
Okay, and why would I care? Why would I want to speak to some goth chick?
She's just like.
Why would I want to speak to some goth chick? Tell me, Mom.
Get some stuff out.
I would
Some
get
of
what
your
out?
anger, some of
Get
your
what?
anger.
Angered. Get what angered?
Anger towards me, like what you're doing right now.
Because you're making me angry by telling me I need to go talk to somebody who I don't give a shit.
Maybe you think it would be good for you.
I could care less. Waste your money. Waste your time. Right?
So I'm just curious what your plans are after you being here. Are you gonna go somewhere by yourself and live in your other car? Like, no, seriously, what are you gonna do? Like, I know you hate living there because you're so horrible.
I thought I hate living here.
You can stay as long as you want, and I prefer you do.
Well, can't do anything with this fucking.
You have to go through therapy. You have to go all the way to general to do that, right? For you're gonna have to X-ray your hips again, and you're gonna have to do physio on that, which hurts like a son of a bitch, by the way. Physio's not fun. You're gonna be screwed. And they might like X-ray again, and if it's not healed, you're gonna put another cast on it. I think the reason it's that shape is because you were in such bad shape. They did it fast, just
I
to
think so
just to
too.
fix one thing, to get it out of the way, and focus on other things. That's what I think. But
Yeah.
I've never seen a cast really done that. And actually, you can choose your own colors now if you want pink or purple or whatever. They have different. So I mean, maybe they'll do that next time. Like it's really.
I'm trying to reach up for an apple and I can't fucking.
You know. Does your elbow? How's your elbow? Like, is it hot or cold around where the cast sits?
No.
Okay, and your fingers, you can move them like this. Good. That's good. That's very good. Does it hurt you good?
A little bit, but
Let's get
it's this bone. This bone is pressing up against.
Oh,
See, look right here. That's where my knuckle was. But that was before. That was when they punched the wall instead of punching Cameron's
Did they
face.
fix it?
That's what I was wondering. I'm like, can you guys maybe like fix my knuckle? That was
Maybe they
fucked
thought
up.
it was part of the accident. Maybe.
They probably thought it was part of the accident, but that was a previous injury that I punched the wall instead of Cameron's face. I kept saying like,
You want to change your shirt? It's really dirty. I think it's really nice, soft, right there. I like it. It's like a button-up shirt.
this is the only fucking hats I'm wearing.
Yeah. Did you
Head sir?
People you see in school that you tease.
A head sir?
Yeah, I also have the bottoms for it. It buttons up, you can just slide it back and forth. And it's nice and warm, and it's
Too hot.
well, I'm just saying for later than the
Jack, I'm so hungry.
right? Let's go parts for one as well.
I need to help a little bit. It took me so long.
You smoke up now?
I need to smoke like multiple blunts a day.
How many?
Multiple blunts.
They're really big.
Yeah.
Wow, they look like cigars.
Yeah, cigars actually. Mhm. Both have it done.
Your soup will be put on your lap.
Yes.
It's really hot. There you go. You okay? Anything else?
No, nothing more.
Where are the papers?
Well, I have to grind it with that.
You're still sitting in it.
Yeah, I need like a lot grinded.
Where do I put it when it's grinded on this little board?
Yeah.
There are a lot of leaves, a lot of stems.
Yeah. Not like
Very
fruit.
dry.
Yeah. Criticizing my pot?
Huh?
Criticizing my pot? Oh, you done, Jack? That's it?
Oh, one of the guys when we were throwing shit in your car, like out of your car, what was left of it, into ours, he goes, "Hey, I found a top to a grinder." I'm like, "Did you find the bottom?" He's like, "No." Anyway, we just checked it. But there's no point of having no bottom.
No, it's an electric grinder. You threw my electric grinder.
No, it's the only thing that was savable, man. I don't know where the other part of it was. What's the point? Am I doing this right? Is this good enough?
You dump it on there.
You want me to do more?
In a little bit. This bread is nasty.
It's good bread. It's healthy bread.
Okay. Yeah, crap.
It's healthy for you.
Crap.
Seeds in it and shit.
I like being here.
What?
I like being here.
This is your home. And this is your room, which is fucking bizarre. Like, you must wake up and go, "Where the fuck am I, eh?"
Where's the dog girlfriend?
Where's who?
His girlfriend. His hump dog?
Oh. I don't know. I'll have to check it out, 'cause- Did we forget it at Brittany's? Maybe it's still in the car. It's probably still in the car. I remember carrying it like this. It's so disgusting.
Yeah, it is gross. I wash it once in a while. Yeah. Check. That's good.
What's this little thing here?
I think there's It's from a pen. Yeah. It's just a straw that goes in the. It's the package, right?
What's this?
I do marker.
For what? Like, what does that have to do with what?
I have to roll with it. I had to pencil roll.
Where are the papers? So you think this is a filter?
Yeah, it was a black and green one somewhere.
Is it, you use the whole thing or do you only top?
No, I used the whole thing. Oh,
Oh, yeah, that was really close. Going. Want a big straw? No.
oh, Rhea, I totaled my car.
Am I?
You don't have a video, but you can hear, yeah.
Can you please turn it off on here?
No one can see.
Hey, now what do you do with the pen? You just do this?
So, like, you would like Rhea. She's very cookie weird, but she's very sweet.
Did I tell you something? What's up?
Well, power.
Yeah. So you asked how you were doing?
Really?
Pharmacy, so kind of an asshole. So many people that were ready to use it. Yeah, you know what's wrong?
Most of you don't care about me on my birthday. Oh,
Obviously they do.
the number that's there, Paulo. I just call him and tell him that I'm afraid of spiders, and he's had a flatbed at Fatal. He can go pick up my Malibu. It's only like a couple streets down.
So you're gonna go figure it.
No, I'm not gonna hang out. I need to be over here. It's so far. It's gonna be so much money on. I honestly have no idea.
So if I slide this out and slide the button.
Well, it's easier if you put this in first. Hey, you're not idiot. Okay.
Just not, I'm not sure.
It's easier with the pen is. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so how do I slide it in? Now I'm gonna bang on this right there.
I'm so glad I got to see storms. You know, he did something else about it. We went to Allison's store to go see her. And April answered, and she was like, yep, she died. He was like, what? Like, no one told me. So I gave him 2 of Eric's t-shirts.
You still have Eric's jacket?
No, of course I have Eric's jacket. I'll never get rid
That's
of it.
really important.
And I also have like his pajama pants and shit. It was just like fucking. I don't know. It means a lot to me having.
It's hard to get with.
And like I can't even imagine cause like Storms is the same way where it's like Allison is kind of like that person where it's just like
Go here when you need.
when I need like a mother who's not my mom. Like we both have mothers that love us, yes, but like.
It's ripped.
Oh.
Did I put some scotch tape on it? Can you cut that part off and start over?
It's okay. I'll figure it out.
No.
Unless you want to try rolling one of my glass ones. Cupcakes are weird. I'm trying to like a cake like that.
Those are so big. You know what? I must have been excited. Oh, it's tight. What if I just cut this part of paper off?
I'm trying rolling with one of my glass cakes.
They lick?
Those are like regular ones.
It's not doing the drugs.
Doing the drugs.
They're doing drugs for a while. He's so smart, such a shame.
Who?
All the smart kids are stupid.
Storm? He looks so different. You wouldn't even recognize him.
Is your hair?
You don't like blonde hair with like. He's hoeing too.
Is what?
He's hoeing.
What does that mean? He's a prostitute.
Like he sleeps around
With girls or girls?
girls.
Do they pay him?
I don't know. I think they might, some of them. Like he looks like a total weenie boy. I know, right? Like he doesn't look like a
He's
crust.
so big, tough bouncer guy.
You know? That's why he was hanging around my car for like 3 days and I didn't say hi to him. They're like, you know, Storms has been hanging around your car for like the past 3 days, right? I'm like, what?
Is that okay?
Mhm.
How do I lick it?
You just look at
Just inside? Is it on which side?
they're made from tree sap. Cellulose. You do the nose thing that I do. My nose always gets itchy.
Fucking useless and useless.
People are dumb. As long as I can smoke it. Okay, lick it. It'll stick. It will stick, I promise. There you go. There. Mama roll the joint. Woo! I'll just look like that. That's great.
I could do it regular rolling papers. I just don't like the rolling papers.
No one likes my rolling papers, in all fairness.
It's really hard to do, especially for a junior. Okay, so what was I going to? I was going to change your sheets, but are you done your sleeping? Hey? Want me to keep it here? Yeah. I'm going to put it up here. So, is Jack's food finished? Okay. What type?
Oh yeah?
I'm determined, Mad.
Do you have any stuff to fill these things?
For what thing?
Butane?
Yes, we have a bottle over your computer desk, blue. It's here in the neighborhood. Oh my god. What?
What is that stuff? Oh, that is a huge fucking. Why?
You would not believe Caitlin washed your laundry that was all wet and soaked from the rain. And there was dirt, like covered like grass and dirt, I guess, that when you rolled it scraped into your car.
Okay.
So it's all in the washer now.
All those clothes are super clean.
Well, not after the rain. Like a torrential downpour, and it was
Did it really?
Yeah, and it was really windy.
Only fitting. Anytime there's ever like a.
No, you didn't do this on purpose, did you?
Why is it so confusing?
I don't know. Some people, when you're very sad and they're in a really bad place, and
Mom, can I tell you? I'm planning my suicide since I was 8. If I was gonna do it, I would have done it right. I would have had more respect for my fucking parents. You guys would not find my body.
it's not,
Well, you would
that
not.
does not make me feel better.
You would not find my body.
I want your body.
But I would not let you find my body. I would not put you through that. It is out of respect. But you know what? It's so funny. I think it was my husband. I said that too, and I was just like, you know, he's thinking that I'm gonna fucking like I'm trying to kill myself, and she's like, yeah, but all this work that you put into it. I'm like, yeah, see, right, you know. And it's just like the amount of people that I have tried to. Hey, look at you, tough guy. The amount of people that I have like made it a point to try to keep alive, it would all be for nothing. Like, and I know that if I died, you would basically not want to live. Exactly. Exactly.
It's the same day, like that's it.
I know all that work of keeping you alive would have been for nothing. And you know what? But
So
it's not.
sad that
It's
you-
not sad
It's
though.
sad that you have to deal with my shit.
No, it's not me having to deal with your shit. It's just there are people who actually their lives,
Are you gonna go smoke that?
yeah,
I'll
are,
change the sheets when you
are
do it.
affected by my life. Thank you, Mom.
Pouring your lighter around it.
Are you for your soup and I take a painkiller? Or are you done with your soup?
What was open?
Okay, right.
Holy shit. You hear it?
You know what?
Car.
Do you want your bread? Yep. Okay. Tell me when you're done.
Jack's girlfriend.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Back before quitting this year. Workload, scheduling, and basically the non-existence of work-life balance. She
Really?
left once before, went back during
Healthcare
COVID
workers
out
are
of
quitting
duty.
in droves
It was
after
it was a
burnout.
honestly. I mean, it was. I still have nightmares about it.
Wow. What's that?
Across Canada, hers is a common theme.
I think the most fundamental thing is for them to feel valued. They have been working extremely hard in conditions amidst the pandemic, the opioid crisis,
This is
and
crazy.
burnout rates and moral
Burnout?
distress that is increasingly challenging.
Today, the PM was asked
If we
when
treated
Canadians can expect
Our
change.
healthcare workers
We just announced
half as good as we treated our fucking NHL players.
to the provinces.
But funding takes
Disgusting.
time to flow, and staff shortages are already shutting emergency rooms in almost every province. All as healthcare workers call for help.
We went to
So
medical school
sad.
to look after patients, not to fill in forms and to do charts.
Less
Absolutely.
administrative work
This
and
is
more
so
support staff
bullshit.
in the short term.
IT staff, secretarial staff, ordering staff, which means we need staff to help patients.
And you
not
guys
be alone
insult
all the
them
time.
by
Looking
saying you
ahead,
can't wear
some
those
workers
stupid
say
little
things
things
like
on your
free
head.
mental healthcare, flexible schedules,
You can't wear
and
your
benefits
religious
for
symbols. You
remote
can't
service
practice your
like
language.
student loan
You're
or
fucking
tax
spitting in their
help keep
faces.
them in the field. Back in Montreal, Stacey Dusay says if things do get better, she'll answer the call again.
You should hear this
I
though. You hear that 7 NHL players are gonna be on trial for gang raping a girl?
Give my mental and physical health for that. Until then, she'll watch and hope. Anita Beck.
They covered it up. This is their second time actually, and she signed an NDA the first time around because she didn't want to do it anymore. And she was like, "Fuck it, I just don't want to fucking talk about it anymore." So she signed an NDA. And now someone found out that like basically 7 of our fucking Habs players gang raped this one chick, and they're gonna make her go on trial for it. She's gonna kill herself. She's never gonna make it to trial. She's gonna fucking off herself. Like, it's terrible. They're trying to insinuate she would make it up. Can't imagine anyone making that shit up. That's so fucked up. You make them go back to school because they come from a different country and they're fucking using their education not as par with ours.
The mainstream media want you to believe that everything they don't agree with is disinformation. You will not believe why that is.
Ah.
Hello there, you 5.7 million awakening wonders. Thank you for joining me on this voyage towards truth. You are the mighty waves upon which the ship of this channel elegantly glides. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Thanks for being the ride. Surely the Tao is the path that we make as we walk that path. Man, I've got a lot of things to tell you, but before I tell you any of that, please subscribe to this channel if you don't subscribe yet, and turn on the notification bell so that we can align and glide past that algorithm and its snide moves to keep us down. We have to remain on top. We make videos every single day, and we want you to see them because we are amplifying the voice that you give us. We are feeding back to you the truth that you have long understood. We made a video last week with Aaron Mate, in which he talked about disinformation and propaganda and narratives around the Ukraine-Russia war. You may have seen there was some pushback around it, a little bit of blowback and stuff. In this video, he addresses directly the charges that the mainstream media have made against him. He's spreading disinformation. He's spreading lies. He talks about that, and he talks about why it is. Fundamentally, the mainstream media think that you are stupid and that you are incapable of forming your own opinion. They want to control the information that you are given. But I think that we're bound to disagree with one another on certain subjects. Just give people all of the information you have accessible, and we'll form our own opinions together. We'll form our own opinions and achieve our own consensus together. In this video, Aaron Mate says some amazing stuff. He talks about how if you disagree with someone and you call them an anti-Semite, for example. Aaron is, of course, Jewish himself. So he talks about how the charge of anti-Semitism is often used to stifle and shut down debate, and that happened in British politics, the way that you'll find pretty fascinating in a significant way when there was an anti-establishment movement rising in this country a couple of years back. It's going to fascinate you. You'll love it. He talks about how he was accused by the mainstream media of being a disinformation spreader and how he handled it. And he talks about, generally speaking, how the mainstream media and big business support one another in allegiance with the state to prevent ordinary people having any impact on the democratic process. Stay to the very end of the video because you're going to feel like you've had a lecture from an informed person who understands how the establishment works by the end of it. Let us know what you think in the comments below and stay with the video to the very end. I'll see you on the other side. Because you're a Jewish man, I assume because your father is, because you've written a lot and spoken a lot about Palestine, and because you have been called, I think, by The Guardian, a conspiracy theorist and the most prolific spreader of disinformation on Syria, I wonder what you think of the kind of use by the mainstream media of the charge. Let's use the example of anti-Semitism and the kind of the use of these very damning and hateful terms, which refer to very damning and hateful beliefs. How do you think these systems are deployed by the, let's call it, centre-left, neoliberal mainstream media? Well, how do you feel about that personally and particularly, and how do you think that such a thing can ever be countenanced? Because in the end, along with his own party, these are the charges that ultimately led to the downfall of Corbyn and to the kind of annihilation of the part of the Labour Party, which for those of you listening in America is kind of our sort of left-wing working class supporting party. How can they ever be countenanced or challenge these kind of views in this kind of culture where this misinformation, disinformation, censorship mentality is increasingly taking hold?
The aim of these insults, anti-Semitism, conspiracy theorists, when they're false, I mean, some people are anti-Semitic and they deserve to be called anti-Semitic. When these insults are used to undermine criticism of Israel or to destroy Jeremy Corbyn's working class movement. The aim of them is to make people beyond the pale, so that you can't even let them enter the arena of debate. You can't let Jeremy Corbyn and his supporters enter the arena debate because you're already dismissing them as anti-Semites. And this is a major crisis that they have to address before they can even be in the arena. And the reason that has to happen is because the establishment actually can't counter Jeremy Corbyn's actual arguments and his real views, and doesn't have a suitable alternative to them, because what Jeremy Corbyn stands for, I think, speaks to people's material needs. And so to undermine that, you have to come up with ways to delegitimize them. And that's where I think this anti-Semitism allegation, this claim that there was a huge crisis inside the Labour Party of anti-Semitism, it was done to delegitimize Corbyn and make it so that he was just beyond the pale. The answer to it, look, this is where I criticize Corbyn. I think Corbyn catered to it too much. I think he's in a really, really tough position, and I really admire everything he accomplished. And maybe it's easier for me to say because I'm Jewish, and so these sort of insults don't land with me. I can see through them. I've seen them my entire life with people trying to silence criticism of the Israeli occupation of Palestine. But I think Jeremy Corbyn should have called this out as a scam. Instead, I think he tolerated it, and he catered to it, and he sort of gave it weight that it didn't deserve. And I think that was a mistake, much like I wish Bernie Sanders, instead of standing up and saying what a serious problem this Trump-Russia connection was, should have called it out as a scam and said, this is a scam being used to avoid talking about real issues and to undermine genuine solutions to them. So I think you have to not be afraid to be called names. I'm not afraid to be called a self-hating Jew or a conspiracy theorist or a Russian asset, which is what I got all the time during Russiagate. Because I wouldn't go along with these conspiracy theories that Trump was controlled by Russia. I was called a Russian apologist or Trump apologist all the time. You have to not be afraid to be called names. You also have to not be afraid to maybe lose a job or lose opportunities, which especially in media is a huge thing where people know that if you don't drink the Kool-Aid, you're going to face consequences.
Yeah, leave him.
For
Charlie.
being bullied by that, because everyone has to make their own choices and everyone's in their own unique situation. But in my case, I'm not willing to compromise on these issues that I feel so strongly about. I'm not, as a journalist, I'm just not willing to compromise on the facts, especially when I'm talking about issues that are so consequential, whether it's Russiagate or whether it's the campaign against Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, these are things that are being used to sabotage a genuine, progressive, hopeful future.
Leave
so
Jack,
I'm not gonna
please.
compromise on that. So yeah, but I think it comes down to being willing to tolerate being called names. And The Guardian, for example, just tried to do that with me when they said that they called me the leading spreader of disinformation on Syria. They couldn't provide one example of my alleged disinformation. That says it all. They can't actually point to any evidence to substantiate their claims. They're just trying to basically preemptively declare people like me beyond the pale. And hopefully, most people can see through that.
Why would The Guardian, which when I was a kid was like, you know, I thought, in the words of Morrissey, who probably also can't like anymore, but has the world changed or have I changed? You know, The Guardian when I was a kid, that was, I used to write for The Guardian, admittedly about football, English football, but now, why would The Guardian call you a conspiracy theorist and say they're the biggest spreader of disinformation on Syria? What is institutionally at stake within The Guardian? What is it? Is it that they're capturing the data of their readers? Is it that they're beholden to advertising money? How has the world changed so radically that Chris Hedges used to be able to work with the New York Times and now he can't be on Russia Today? How has the world changed so radically that Glenn Greenwald breaks the Snowden story with The Guardian,
What's
the
right?
Times,
There you
the
go.
Speaker or whatever?
See?
I'll figure out and
You like it?
I do. What's right? I hurt you.
No, it says that's a heart and I love you. And that's a thumbs up and a smiley face.
Oh, cool. How do these people go to being called just, you know,
Where would they go?
And look, I dragged something on Auntie Fanny. Maybe you could draw something on.
I love you.
And there's a thumbs up and a smiley face and a heart.
Well, so those changed at The Guardian,
No.
I think, in the last decade, where after they published
Well,
the
I'm
Snowden
really
leaks,
okay, baby.
the UK National Security State came down very hard on them. And even forced The Guardian went along with this to destroy the hard drives containing the Snowden leaks. And since then, and there's been a lot of reporting done
Leave
on this
Jack
by
alone.
outlets like Declassified, UK, and others. The Guardian has changed, and the Guardian has increasingly parroted the line of the national security state. They took part in the campaign to vilify Julian Assange. They printed these bogus stories by a journalist named Luke Harding that, for example, Assange and Manafort had secret meetings inside the Ecuadorian embassy, Paul Manafort being Trump's former campaign manager. A complete scam of a story that
Leave the dog alone.
And on the issue of Syria, which I write about a lot, they've essentially supported the UK government policy of participating in a US-led dirty war that flooded Syria.
Oh god.
Your dress?
No.
What's the matter?
Tired.
I only have 4 left, so you want to start giving you half every day? Okay? So that will last longer?
Oh fuck.
Oh shit?
No.
You're in pain?
Yeah.
You want to go to sleep?
Yeah. What the fuck are they dropping the fucking care package? Ah, vulnerable. Sleep better. Fucked up dirty. People. good, honest people. They're just for the play. A lot of the people. All of them will continuously get suffering. fuck was this? Charlie, Lily. What was that sound? Oh. Yeah, I was with Lily's screen. Oh, yeah, my guitar. Yeah, if you want.
You want to hear my melody?
Like, maybe later chart. And he's gotta sleep for a bit. Oh.
Much more affordable housing units across the board. And before anyone suggests you can't afford that,
What do they actually do at Davos? And should we be worried? They just get to Hello there, you 5.7 million awakening wonders. Thank you for joining me on this Voice Towards Truth. If you don't subscribe yet, subscribe now and turn on the notification bell. Have you ever what they do at Davos? I certainly have. And now a new book written by Peter Goodman reveals exactly what goes on in that conference held at high altitude. And it's not just nefarious stuff. It's not just going up by people or bleed down from the top of that mountain into the governmental systems of ordinary folk like you and I. There's also weird role plays going on. And also, perhaps more important than anything, virtual signaling on an alpine scale. What is Davos? Is this the realm of conspiracy theory, or is there something genuinely happening at Davos anyway?
Well, Davos is, of course, this glittering annual event high up in the Swiss Alps in the otherwise unremarkable village of Davos. Every January, the world's most powerful people show up. As CEOs of major corporations, lots of billionaires, a few celebrities to keep things interesting, public intellectuals, some very well-intentioned activists, members of NGOs, and the place is lousy with journalists. And they all get together, and they have actually quite different experiences. The forward, sort of consumer-facing part of Davos that's served by the World think tank. It's basically just a standard concerns you'd expect: climate change, racial justice, gender imbalance, future of work, all that kind of stuff, all under this banner committed to improving the state of the world, which is the part of it that sort of gives up the joke of it. This is a gathering of the ultimate beneficiaries of the status quo, the people who in fact built the status quo for their own benefit. And the idea that they're all going to go up there in high mountain air and think about how to change it is just nonsensical. And of course, they've been doing this since the 70s, and the world has gotten more the way it was before, not the other way around. Now, the billionaires show up, and they mostly just sit in private suites and do deals, and as Kara Swisher put it to me recently, lick one another in private. They do show up in the Congress Center. That's the place where all these seminars are held, strategically. Like, I've seen them show up to engage in, I'm not making this up, a simulation of the Syrian refugee experience, where they submit to being blindfolded and led around in the dark while someone's hollering at them in Arabic, demanding papers, and then they all congratulate one another for their empathy, and then they go off to some banquet, underwritten by a global consulting company, and they drink champagne and eat caviar.
I see what goes on. I mean, I was pretty surprised by the role play. I didn't anticipate that. So, what is it about the people that have attended these events, as you described them, the ultimate beneficiaries of this status quo? What is it about them, and historically, who has attended, that makes it clear that it's not primarily about addressing climate change, or at least radically altering the trajectory of financial interest that might benefit from the current, the way that energy is managed now? I mean, who historically have affiliations with panels or the WA?
Sure. So Jeff Bezos used to show up regularly. That was back in the dot-com era. He had come in the last few years. Benioff is a guy profile in my book. He's the CEO of this big Silicon Valley tech company called Salesforce. He shows up regularly. Larry Fink, who's the world's largest asset manager. This is someone who, until the recent meltdown, was managing somewhere upwards of $10 trillion US worth of assets, now cut down to 8 trillion and change. Just still a lot of money. He shows up regularly. I want to obnoxiously come back to your earlier question, because I think it's really important. I don't traffic in conspiracies about Davos. I don't think it's the sort of secret place where the rules are made for the rest of us by the forum itself. The people who show up at Davos, heads of state and billionaires, they already have power. They can be anywhere. And they do have the power to shape the world, and they have used it for their own benefit. But the idea that the forum itself, run by this dour German economist who you've had some fun with, Russell, Klaus Schwab, the idea that they're the ones who are secretly in charge of the world, I just don't buy it. What's key about the wealthy people who show up in Davos is they're not interested in simply owning everything and writing the rules. They would like us to view them as change agents, revolutionary people who have our best interests at heart. So the people I refer to in my book is Davos Man, and I'm stealing the term coined by Daniel Political Science in 2004. These are the billionaires who would have us believe if we organize our societies around sending more money to the people who already have most of it, somehow all of us win, which has in reality happened 0 times. But they use Davos as this place to kind of rally amongst themselves. Hey, we really are the good guys. So the more money we have, the more good we can do. Let's get back to mission to cut taxes and deregulate. That's what they're really about. And also trying to convince us and insinuating into our political discourse, something they've done very well around the world, that they can be trusted. If we just get government out of the way, government slow, bureaucratic. If we get do-gooders out of the way, they'll take care of climate change, gender balance, all the stuff that we care about.
It may not in itself be a pivotal event, because as you observe, most people anywhere in private and presumably do meet in a variety of places and this kind of form. It's a demonstration of those characters, see who the most powerful people are of a powerful interest institutions and entities. And so, as what you're saying to us, Peter, is that it demonstrates their appetite to be perceived as benign, or even to be seen in a favourable light. So but that's significant, I think, with the timbre of the current global discourse, that there is this ongoing trend of trying to mask a inverted commas bad intention beneath a good one. That you're saying that ultimately the interests of the kind of people that attend, or in the kind of interests that attend Davos, want to see deregulation and the ability to pursue their financial objectives free from the impediment of high taxation and state intervention. And they also represent that as they are crusading on behalf of minorities, and they want gender equality, and they are interested in climate change. So ultimately, I suppose what we have is it's a PR exercise.
Yeah, it's a prophylactic against democracy, right? If they convince us that, hey, here we are, the agenda of the World Economic Forum, we got this. Mark Benioff is really worried about automation and job losses, and they're having a panel discussion on universal basic income. You're welcome. We're talking about corporate governance 2.0. We're against corruption, and we want more democracy. And by the way, that then has the effect of allowing them to simultaneously argue that we need not pull the levers of our own democracies to have a say about how capitalism actually works. We need not stick them with progressive taxation so we can finance the things that, let's face it, the markets are never going to provide. Healthcare, help for people who are in trouble, affordable education. Like, that's just not going to happen in a world that's just dominated by privatization. Capitalism, I'm a capitalist. Like, it's really effective. It's a great way to build an iPhone. Thanks for that. And so they're effectively saying to us, you need not worry about antitrust enforcement. You need not worry about labor movements. We'll take care of labor. And the latest thing that we get into, if you want, is stakeholder capitalism. It comes directly out of Klaus Schwab. He's written a book about it. It's this idea that, Milton Friedmanism, corporations should just organize to return profit to shareholders. That era is over. We get it. We hear you. You're mad about inequality. You're upset about climate change not being addressed. You think billionaires ought to pay taxes. Hey, we'll take care of this for you. Stakeholder capitalism is the new mantra, and it means we're not just catering to our shareholders, the CEOs of large publicly traded corporations. Now we're dealing with stakeholders, and that's labor, never labor unions. They're very careful about that. This is unilateral. It's generosity. Benioff said the planet is a stakeholder, which is reassurance to those of us who run the planet. But that also is the artifice of this. This is totally about public relations, preventing change by pretending you're engaged in change.
Preventing change by pretending to be engaged in change. I really like that.
Let me know what you thought of that video. Thank you very much for staying to the end. Hit me up in the below. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Either of these, and please sign up to my mailing list right now about all the big things that make it interesting. Turn on the notification bell and so free.
The promise was a healthcare revolution. The reality was a bloody lie. When Elizabeth Holmes claimed she'd invented a device that with a pinprick of blood could diagnose hundreds of medical conditions, she became the darling of Silicon Valley. Holmes, along with her business partner and ex-lover, Sunny Balwani, then set about duping investors to bankroll their multi-billion-dollar company, Theranos. But what the couple didn't count on was the courage of two of their own staff, who knew the blood machine didn't work and knew they had to tell the world. Now Holmes and Balwani have been found guilty of fraud and could face death, one of the biggest medical swindles in history. And Elizabeth is one of the biggest fraudsters of our time.
Do you have any reaction to your...
It's modelled herself on Apple's Steve Jobs.
I like
Welcome, Elizabeth Holmes.
Saleable, believe, bought by everyone.
There are people in this world who revolutionize our lives: Coco Chanel, Steve Bill Gates, Walt Disney, and Elizabeth Holmes. Mark my words.
And in Ramesh Sunny Balwani, her then secret lover and business partner, she had a trusty lieutenant. Together, they turned their medical startup Theranos into a $9 billion, promising the holy grail of healthcare: non-invasive, cheaper, faster, and more reliable blood tests.
Theranos means being able to see the onset of disease in time to be able to do something about it.
So you could do this in helicopters and battlefields, in patients' homes and doctors' offices. It just sounded like this technology had no limits. And I found Elizabeth to be extremely charismatic. And so I knew that this was something that I had to be part of.
Science graduates Tyler Schultz and Erica Chung were two young guns Elizabeth and Sunny hired. The pair joined Theranos believing they would be part of the healthcare revolution.
It's a bit of a heartbreaking tale, right? Because there's so much potential. There's so many possibilities of what could have come out of this.
Very quickly, Erica and Tyler were given access to the inner sanctum of Theranos and its secret weapon, a mini lab known as the Edison, a computerized testing device that Holmes created and claimed could diagnose up to 200 diseases from a single finger prick. But no matter how many tests they ran, they failed to deliver reliable results. Inconceivably, it did not stop Elizabeth Holmes from speaking it to the world.
People don't even know that they have a basic human right to be able to get access to information about themselves and their own bodies that can change their lives.
Do you think there's any doubt that Elizabeth knew the Edison contraption was a failure, or was she just, faking it or she made it?
There's no doubt that she knew. Like, she supposedly invented the thing, right? And then I was fresh out of college, my first job. Day one working with it, it was obvious that it didn't work. There's no possible way she would know. Absolutely not.
What appalled the young scientists was the decision by Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani to roll out the machine to be used on real people with real diseases, knowing the test results could not be trusted. That galvanized this remarkable pair into a dangerous course of action that would shape their lives for the next 10 years. They risked everything to become whistleblowers, to expose the extraordinary and shameless lies, putting patients in jeopardy.
We can't stand for this. We can't stand for letting people treat people this way and just get away with no consequence.
Was the patient that drove to become a whistleblower?
Yes. It was really to say we can't be using this faulty technology on patients. Like, this is this one.
These are tests that have huge impacts on people's lives and the way they behave. Not like a vitamin D test or something. We're talking about infectious diseases.
Of course, I never considered one day he would blow the whistle on Elizabeth Holmes when he was first introduced to her in 2011. His formidable grandfather, George Shultz, the former US Secretary of State, who served under 3 presidents, wanted him to meet Elizabeth, whom he considered brilliant.
We think that there's going to be a revolution in preventive medicine.
Unaware she was peddling a fantasy, the then 91-year-old George Shultz had just accepted Holmes's invitation to join the Theranos board.
I don't think he had a reason to not believe Elizabeth. He didn't have the skill set to really question her. By getting him on board, she was able to essentially use his network to assemble an extremely powerful board of directors.
I mean, you believed her, so it's not a stretch, is it, to think that your grandfather and people of his vintage and level of understanding believed her?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'm sure it also didn't hurt that she was was young, thin, blonde, blue-eyed. I think she was able to woo a lot of older men just by, I don't know, just by kind of some affection.
Sounds really cute, really.
It is.
I can understand why your grandmother felt to Elizabeth Holmes, but did she want from him?
So I think one of the biggest things he got out of him was transfer of credibility. People believed what he had to say, and she needed that.
It certainly helped her raise nearly $1 billion from high-flying investors like Rupert Murdoch, who, like so many, trust Elizabeth at face value.
Elizabeth was a goddess. People worshipped the ground she walked on.
But Wizard of Oz, behind the curtain, nothing was quite as it seemed.
And then you go and you talk to the scientist, and she's a total joke. You cross a threshold from the carpet world into the tile world, and all of a sudden it's just like nothing works. We're on a sinking ship, and we cannot bail out water fast enough.
The toughest part is trusting yourself enough, one way or another.
But there and Tyler initially took their concerns about false test results to the top. Elizabeth Holmes and Samuel Wiley's response was to attack.
They basically called me arrogant, ignorant, patronizing, reckless. They said I had no understanding of math, science, or statistics. They attacked me personally. And I felt like, what more could I do? This is not somewhere where I can work and make a difference.
Speaking up is easy, but having to deal with the doubt of other people, having the retaliation, having to deal with the rejection, all of these factors make it very challenging and very difficult to do something so simple, saying, hey, I don't think this looks right, or hey, we shouldn't be doing this.
Tyler experienced that in the most personal way when trying to warn his grandfather of the deceit. George Schultz instead sided with Elizabeth Holmes.
I basically said, you can be the board member who says Elizabeth does not have my complete support. You can be the board member that says Elizabeth lied to me. She lied to patients. She lied to doctors. She lied to investors.
What was it like to be in that position where your grandfather chose to believe Elizabeth over you?
I was devastated. And I told him, I said, you're choosing a criminal over your own family.
In direct contrast to his grandfather, Tyler and Erica felt they needed to do more. But it wasn't until they spoke to investigative journalist John Carreyrou of Wall Street Journal in 2015 that the story was exposed.
They couldn't, in good conscience, continue to not say anything. They felt the need to speak up, and they felt that lives were in danger, and that the longer this went on, the worse it would get.
When I spoke to the Wall Street Journal reporter, I bought a burner phone with cash because I thought that would guarantee no one would ever be able to discover that I was a source. And man, was I wrong. They told me they figured me out in about 5 minutes. It was that obvious.
For all your cloak and dagger, I mean, you must have felt like the criminal buying a burner.
I did. I did feel like the criminal buying a burner phone.
But that was nothing compared to the betrayal Tyler felt when he discovered his grandfather had tipped off Theranos lawyers to a visit Tyler had planned with him. It marked the start of a campaign by the company of intense bullying and intimidation, following suspicions Tyler had put the beans on the Theranos sham.
And to my surprise, there were actually 2 lawyers in his house that he did not tell me about. And they basically ambushed me, and that kind of started this horrible period in my life where it felt like within 2 to 3 days I was going to be in a courtroom being sued by a $9 billion company and spending around $500,000 in legal fees to protect myself.
So $500,000 in legal fees just for trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, it was worth it. I guess. That's what I tell myself.
Both you and Tyler, for all of your being mild-mannered scientists, I think you're made of steel.
Yeah.
You had to be so strong.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of strength to do something Like whistleblowing should be a last resort.
But it looked like it would all come to nothing when a shock development late last year threatened to derail the entire case. From what you witnessed, from what you observed, do you believe that Sunny Balwani was the puppeteer? For the first time in a long time, Erica Chung has her life back. For the past 10 years, she has been a critical player in the scandal to rock California's Silicon Valley. The spectacular fall of Theranos, $9 billion startup company that promised to revolutionize healthcare. As a Theranos scientist turned whistleblower, Erica took the stand in March to testify against her former boss, Ramesh Sunny Balwani, following her testimony against CEO Elizabeth Holmes late last year. What was it like to be in the courtroom with Elizabeth Holmes there?
I'm going in, I was scared because I didn't know how I was going to react. And now I had to basically do my duty, which was to give a voice, particularly to a lot of people who are voiceless in this circumstance, specifically the patients, and to tell the truth and answer the questions.
Alongside Erica, fellow whistleblower Taj Schultz was driven to speak out against the company because investors about Miracle Mini Lab, who promised to run hundreds from just a drop of blood. Instead, fell over and over.
It just fell short of Elizabeth's in every conceivable way. And then it wasn't even accurate. It didn't even work.
The greatest fear for Tyler and Erica was patents lives were being put at risk, something Erica wanted to make clear at trial.
It was an immense amount of pressure and stress that kind of came with it. But once the actual trial happened and I was on the stand, it was nice because I realized, well, when you tell the truth from the onset, you just have to keep doing that and answer the questions.
Verdicts here. In January, the verdict came down against Elizabeth Holmes. While she was acquitted of defrauding patients, Holmes was found guilty of fraud against investors. She'll be sentenced in October. Just over a week ago, in a separate trial, former business partner and ex-boyfriend Sunny Balwani was confirmed as Holmes' partner in crime, found guilty on all 12 charges of defrauding both investors and patients. He'll be sentenced in November.
I think at this point, yes, I think that she should face some sort of time, considering all the damage caused.
Do you hold him equally responsible?
Yes.
And jail time too?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were both equally culpable in the circumstance.
But a curveball at Elizabeth's trial late last year threatened to derail the entire case. She accused her ex-lover, Sunny Balwani, of coercive control and sexual abuse, claiming that made her subservient and affected her business judgment. From what you witnessed, from what you observed, do you believe that Sunny Balwani was the puppeteer?
From what I witnessed, in my own personal opinion, no. No. I think they both were definitely the key decision makers in that company and definitely held a lot of power, but I don't think that he was the puppeteer.
What do you make of those claims that she made against Sunny?
I mean, it's like I don't hold Sunny in high regard, obviously. So I believe that he's probably capable of those types of things. At the same time, Elizabeth is a pathological liar. So I have no way of knowing. I have no way of knowing.
If it is the case, does it absolve her of her responsibility and how she acted during those theranos years?
I don't think so. The people that knew Elizabeth back in 2013, 14, 15 know that she was in control. Every room she walked into, she had control of them. If she needed something, she got it.
Tyler's grandfather, Theros died aged 100 in February last year. Finally, Tyler was right, but the whistle was. He could never bring himself to apologize for putting the con woman in his grandson. Did you ever repair your relationship with your grandfather?
It was repaired to some extent, but I think the damage was definitely there. I was telling him my concerns in like 2014. I spoke to the Wall Street Journal in 2015. I went on the record in 2016. And it wasn't until 2018 that he finally said, you know, maybe this woman's been lying to me and Tyler was right.
Could you tell us more about both the three roles at Theranos? What did your work entail?
To expose the Theros sham came at a huge cost to both Tyler and Erica, but inherently honest and clearly courageous, these friends had no choice but to do the right thing.
They were by far the worst years of my life, and it's consumed pretty much my entire adult life. I first met Elizabeth when I was 20 years old, and I'm 31 now. At this point, I'm really just trying to take the worst years of my life, and I'm trying to turn them into a positive.
So now, as you reflect on it, any regrets about being a whistleblower?
Oh, no regrets at all. No regrets at all. Absolutely none. Yeah, I wish it didn't work out this way, but that's not what happened, and all over again. I would definitely roll this all over again.
Hello. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minutes, segments, and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.
The big cell is irresistible, a glossy appeal to vanity, and it works. From tummy tucks to Brazilian butt lifts, Australians fork out more than $1 billion a year on cosmetic surgery.
I can believe that professional photos is what I was touched by.
But wanting to look younger, better, doesn't always go to plan.
Anyone with a basic medical degree can call themselves a cosmetic surgeon.
3 surgeons are operating here. I'm doing lipo sculpture.
You wouldn't know it from their social media accounts, but these doctors aren't specialist surgeons.
Happening while the patient is asleep.
Don't look now if you don't like it.
It's staggering, but loopholes in the law allow them to perform major operations with little surgical training.
Somebody else is still on the table, he's lying flat in this position, and sculpt his chest. They beguile patients into believing that they have the necessary surgical skill to perform their procedures, and when something goes wrong, they are simply discharged off to the nearest emergency department.
The truth is, weak regulations and a business model that puts profit before patients is leaving a trail of botched and maimed bodies.
This is bordering on being barbaric. This is not what we demand of people performing surgery in Australia.
Tonight, in a joint investigation with the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age, 60 Minutes exposes the dark side of the booming cosmetic surgery industry, where patients are seduced into body-modified surgery by celebrity doctors and cleverly staged before and after photos on social media.
You're really seeing the best of the best on the pages. You're not seeing the women who have scar tissue that have to keep going back to get things fixed. You're not seeing that.
Patients who do speak up are crushed into silence when it all goes wrong.
They don't get to just do that to me. They don't get to just destroy my life and think they get away with it. It's not fair.
There should be little doubt how dangerous cosmetic surgery can be. 6 months ago, I uncovered shocking proof of alarming practices in the clinics of celebrity dermatologist turned cosmetic surgeon Daniel Lanza. Behind the doors of his clinics included bar footage of doctors dancing while thrusting long stainless steel cannulas into an male patient. Worst of all, a culture of never admitting things go horribly wrong.
Never, ever, ever, not slightly, ever, 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 ever admit to a patient that something's bad or wrong. They'll use it against you 100 times the rest of your life. Never, ever, ever own up to anything.
For Daniel Lanza, the fallout of being found out was swift. He was furious.
There's a well-known journalist, her name is Adele Ferguson. She thinks there's something she has to do to stop Dr. Lanza, but unfortunately, she did the wrong thing. It's a sad story. This is the saddest day of my life.
But things were about to get a whole lot worse for Daniel Lanza. He surrendered his registration and headed for Israel, living in his penthouse. Other doctors working alongside him had a few regulatory slaps.
But it's still going on. People still don't realise that even if they're going to other cosmetic surgery clinics, that the standard of care is still not up to board because there's no regulation.
Registered nurses Lauren Hewish and Justin Nixon used to work with Daniel Lanza and saw too much. What angers them now is that little has changed.
I thought there would be massive changes. It's been 6 months since this has all really come to light. But there really hasn't been anything.
We're still seeing the same sort of behaviour still going on, and it's like the doctors seem indifferent to what's been said, and they don't seem there.
Tonight, they want to tell one doctor avoided scrutiny, despite being in the thick of it all. His name is Dr. Ryan Wells.
He was Dr. Lanza's associate. He was the person doing the bulk of the Lanza clinic. He was Dr. Lanza's workhorse.
When Lauren and Justin finally resigned, he went into damage control.
He said, be careful who you talk to because it's our life at stake. Don't talk anything about the clinic. Don't say anything about your experience at the clinic because if it comes out, we're responsible.
That's very much the culture, don't dog us. But when I really went away and thought about it, the Dog Act is picking up for the patients and the victims and the people that are harmed.
After assisting Dr. Wells on hundreds of procedures and consultations, they decided to speak out.
His practice puts the public at risk, yet the regulators have failed to act quickly.
Dr. Wells runs the clinics with a basic medical degree and limited surgical experience.
First week, a major life specialist with a before shot.
Then he was spruiking on social media major procedures such as megalipectomy.
Once again, didn't like this bulge and droopy skin.
As he started earning the big bucks, he began flaunting his lavish lifestyle on his social media account.
Lanza's told him everything that he knows. Money was the bottom line for all of the doctors. It was not in the interests of the patients.
Back then, Dr. Wells distanced himself publicly from the Lanza fallout.
Excellence is and it always has been our standard. I want to reiterate my commitment to association with Dr. Lanza and his company.
In an email he sent me, Dr. Wells goes even further.
We operate and manage the Brisbane practice. We Within the unit, no compromises have ever been taken in regards to patient safety.
Yet at the same time, he was telling staff something completely different about the media coverage.
I think it was worth Danny Hobson Shepherd film we didn't even get a show up there. It'll all be
But all is not okay at Dr. Wells' clinics.
As much as Dr. Wells can say that he has separated himself and has better standards and that the clinics run completely differently, I think that's a joke.
Yeah.
It's not only former colleagues bravely speaking up. Patient Kathy Hubble wants everyone to know about her experience with Dr. Wells.
This man is absolutely dangerous to the public. He was directly responsible for the procedure on my abdomen, which has now left me with chronic pain and a tissue that is hard and rubbery and loss of feeling in those areas as well.
In November 2018, Kathy was booked in to have liposuction on her abdomen by Dr. Wells. It was 2 days after undergoing liposuction on her legs by Dr. Lanza. Having already paid in full, she felt unable to back out.
Once you've paid a huge amount of money and you're invested in a procedure that you think is going to help you, you can't turn back.
So you're in too deep.
Absolutely.
Despite being in excruciating pain, she was sent straight home.
The next day, I was at the point where I couldn't sit, lie down, I couldn't move, I couldn't roll over, and I was in so much pain that I was actually vomiting. And my partner then drove me to the hospital, and they said I was exactly in septic shock and had a lot from knee to nail.
And they say what caused it?
Well, they knew it was a procedure. That it was a dirty procedure.
Almost 4 years later, all the internet is still in chronic pain.
It interferes with every part of my life, every relationship, intimacy, everything. That he is trying to separate himself from the practices of Dianza is absolutely frightening. This man is absolutely dangerous to the public.
Kathy Hubble, the only person seen 60 Minutes, is aware of other unhappy patients of Dr. Wells, but can't speak publicly after signing gag orders in return for refunds after their operations. Others have class action. This woman was 5 by Dr. Wells, November 2020. Instagram. Into this before and after video.
Whilst she's still on the table, now she looks lying flat on her back. That was sculpted all that fat.
This is what she actually looks like. She told 6 Minutes she feels hopeless and trapped in a different body. Patient stories are the only way to find out what really happens inside Dr. Wells' clinics.
Unbelievable.
We've also obtained thousands of internal messages and videos, and the comments are shocking.
That is the most grotesque thing I think I've experienced in my entire life.
In the world of cosmetic surgery, social media drives business. For most patients, Instagram and TikTok posts are the easiest way to judge a doctor's subtle results. Dr. Ryan Wells is a leading cosmetic surgeon with thousands of followers on Instagram. But there's a lot his followers and his patients haven't seen until now.
Fat transfer as well.
It's just bewildering.
We've obtained thousands of leaked messages and videos that show what really happens behind closed doors at the Wells clinics.
Unbelievable.
Plastic surgeon Mark Ashton is the professor of surgery at the University of Melbourne. We showed him some of the disturbing scenes featuring Dr. Wells. This video was filmed while the patient was unconscious and naked.
What was he hitting? A fly. In the operating theatre. Yes.
An operating theatre is meant to be an isolated, protected area. It means it minimises the risk of infection. The fact that there is a fly in the operating theatre means that that system is broken down. The patient was left completely naked with no covering at all, whilst he used the blanket to attack the fly. We have known in the last 10 to 15 years that one of the most important, critically adjustable factors in preventing infection after surgery is keeping the patient warm.
Unhygienic operating theatres are just the start. On Instagram and TikTok, Dr. Wells made a name for himself doing mega liposuction, an industry term for removing more than 5 litres of fat and fluid in a single procedure.
We know, and it's been scientifically proven, that trying to perform mega liposuction of more than 5 litres in a single sitting as a gay patient, that's where the patient goes home at the end of the procedure, is incredibly dangerous.
Here, Dr. Wells is boasting to his followers about how much fat he can take out in a single day.
Yes, how many litres fat we talk? How much fat we talk now? 9 litres. 13 litres of fat. 32 litres of fat in total. Good stuff. It's this macabre, macho sort of parading as trying to outdo each other. 32 litres in 3 patients is well beyond what Dr. White literally suggests is the maximum amount of fat that should be taken out of patients.
There's also another type of liposuction Dr. Wells performs, but you'll never see it on social media.
Okay. Doing really well.
In this video shared on WhatsApp between Dr. Wells and his nurses in October last year, a woman is getting fat manually squeezed from her legs. She's awake, but thankfully she can't see the bloody mess spraying around her.
Adele, that was... Jesus, where did you get that from? Unbelievable. That is the most grotesque thing I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Where to start? Lack of sterility, lack of infection control, biohazards. We have contaminated blood and fats being sprayed all over the operating theatre. The gentleman is wearing normal runners with inadequate protection for himself and his staff. There's no facilities in which to contain or entrap the biological material which is being forcibly evacuated from the leg. The procedure is being performed whilst the patient is awake. There is so many things wrong with this scene. I just don't know where to begin.
It would be very difficult to clean, I would imagine.
You can't clean it. You do to get that material off the wall. You need to do what we call a deep clean. It's about a 2-hour process. And therefore, every patient coming in from now on is put at risk by the behaviour of these individuals. Yeah, it's really something of an well, really. We would be expected at the laser clinics to clean this mess up in under 15 minutes. The patient through.
Registered nurses Justin Nixon and Lauren Hewish say they worked 100 hundreds of procedures with Dr. Wells. They say they were only ever given 10 to 15 minutes, never 2 hours, to clean up the room after a procedure.
Be plenty of times later in the day when people say, "What's that on the wall?" and there'd be specks of fat and tissue being flung around the theatre. It was, not up to standard, filthy.
It would be just a quick little wipe down with a tuffy on the bed, a quick little mop of the floor, and all the dirty instruments would be chucked into the staff room in a bucket with all the dirty linen right next to it, mixed with foliage of the clean instruments.
It gets worse. From 2019, Dr. Wells regularly performed surgeries on the first floor of this commercial office building in Spring Hill, Brisbane. Justin Nixon worked beside him in this makeshift theatre.
When patients would arrive on the day, they'd often be horrified to find out there was no special room, there was no dedicated theatre. And they'd say, "Is this it? We're going to operate here." And the doctors would say, "Yep, take off your clothes. We're going to do the surgery in this room here." They didn't feel like they could leave. They had no other choice. Yeah.
This is the before image.
This video shows Dr. Wells performing a breast reduction involving surgical incisions to remove breast tissue on a male patient. It's in the Spring Hill office, which isn't a registered day hospital.
Very small, very little fat.
In Queensland, if you do a breast reduction, it must be done in a registered day facility.
Dr. Margaret Foe has spent 40 years researching the health system. She believes the surgery conducted at the unlicensed Spring Hill Clinic was potentially an illegal operation.
Breast reduction, or anything around a breast reduction, like a partial mastectomy, which is basically what it is, has to be done in a registered healthcare facility. And if you're telling me that was not a registered healthcare facility, it appears that that was illegal.
As well as shocking practice, Dr. Wells and his staff are caught up in a secret scheme to dupe the regulator. In leaked internal contact messages from last year, a senior nurse tells staff to backdate paperwork before an audit.
Please have a look around the hospital for all checklists. They all need to be backdated to March 2020.
Backdating, it points to the issue of patient safety. And what you showed me was just like flagrant disregard for obligations under those standards. I mean, they're falsifying records. And so you can't be going back and making up dates because you risk patient safety.
Dr. Wells' team was also asked by a senior nurse on WhatsApp to hide certain chemicals and equipment in an attic ahead of an upcoming audit.
All old wound rooms need to be in attic. Fat TF canisters and equipment need to be hidden in attic.
Another message suggests staff were reusing disposable equipment.
All disposable forceps, packs need to be thrown out if they were sterilised.
That was a heart-stop moment for me as I was reading. I read it again, and it's disposable kits and packs should be thrown out, not re-sterilised. Why was that a heart-stop moment? I thought, re-sterilising single-use instruments. Because if they are, that is unforgivable. That is as disgusting as washing a Band-Aid so that you can use it again. Right? That is not what single-use disposable instruments are intended for. If that is what's happening there, I found that unconscionable, unforgivable.
Despite Dr. Wells' best efforts to publicly distance himself from Daniel Lanza, we've discovered they're still in business together. 60 Minutes can reveal the property of his Gold Coast clinic is jointly owned by Dr. Wells and Daniel Lanza. And in Brisbane, Lanza also owns Dr. Wells' Queensland Day Hospital.
the clinic is owned by Dr. Lanza. He's always going to have a say in what happens.
The cosmetic surgery industry would have you believe the Lanza clinics were cowboy operators in an otherwise professional industry. But as you're about to see, the problems are industry-wide and it's out of control.
If you want to see what's wrong with the cosmetic industry, there it is.
In the ultra-competitive business of cosmetic surgery, it's important to stand out. At Cosmos Clinic, operating theatres are used as performance spaces. And doctors pose for the camera wearing Batman hats while performing risky surgeries. It's earned them almost 500,000 followers on Instagram and TikTok.
And why did you get into this as a business?
There are also regular appearances on TV.
Fuck, I look good on TV. This is where I decided to start up my own clinic.
And who's coming into your surgery to get this sort of work done?
And its doctors are striving to be everywhere.
Hey guys, I've got some exciting news. It's been a long time coming, but we've finally done it. Put all the pieces together, we found the right doctor and the right location, and we're coming straight to you.
In October 2019, Cosmos announced it was opening a new cosmetic surgery clinic in Hawthorne, Melbourne. Founder, Dr. Joseph Ajaka, used Instagram to reveal the doctor of choice to lead the Victorian business.
We had to find the perfect fit for Cosmos, and this man is the perfect fit for Cosmos. With great honour, I present to you Dr. We've been working with Dr. Reza since the end of last year, and we're going to seek him to move to Melbourne, which we're about because he's really been part of the Sydney team. I'm really excited about it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in Melbourne.
Cosmos's hype to recruit Dr. Reza Mahdi is a GP. In 2018, he trained overseas at the European College of Aesthetic Medicine and Surgery.
What's the difference, for example, the
An organisation that teaches courses in facelifts and tummy tucks. He used his training to patients and perform other risky surgeries, including the Brazilian butt lift, posting it all on social media.
I get thyroid, you can't inject too much fat, otherwise the fat can't survive, you're going to die.
You wouldn't know it from Cosmos's social media posts or TV appearances, but the Brazilian butt lift, or BBL, is considered so dangerous that many trained plastic surgeons, like Professor Mark Ashton, refuse to do them.
Brazilian butt lift is the most dangerous operation you can possibly consider. I don't think there's any plastic surgeon in Australia who would seriously consider doing Brazilian butt, knowing what we know now about the risk.
I saw their Instagram page and they had a lot and lots of photos from lots of different girls. I basically just couldn't find anywhere else on Cosmos that had those results.
So they sounded like they were the perfect fit.
Yeah, they basically advertised and made everything seem like it was totally like the best decision you could make. Well, they want you to think that it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You can just go in and get your surgery. Within 2 weeks, you'll be back to your life.
In March last year, 26-year-old Keisha Amoa booked in for a consultation with Dr. Reza.
And there was no frames on the wall with his qualifications on it like you would normally see in a doctor's office.
That didn't set any bells for you?
In hindsight, now, yes, of course, it sets off a lot of alarm bells, but at the time, I'm thinking to myself, he's a brain surgeon. There is no way in Australia that a person can perform surgery on somebody when they're not actually a plastic surgeon.
After a brief chat, Keisha signed up for liposuction and a fat transfer for a BBL. This audio is the ambulance call she made in the clinic hours after waking up from surgery.
What unit number are you with? Cosmos Clinic. Yeah, okay, I can see that one there. Okay, so is there anyone else nearby you? Oh no, and that's why we've got all the organised for you.
As soon as I instantly knew that something was seriously wrong because I've never felt pain like that before in my life. And I kept telling them from the beginning, I'm in pain, I need help, something's wrong, and it just felt like somebody had stabbed me. And I just could feel this burning pain inside my abdomen, and it just wouldn't stop. And it became worse and got to the point where I just kept passing out throughout the time that I was in recovery because the pain was so bad. He was basically just telling me that I'm not handling the pain very well and it's all normal and, you know, it will stop and I need to calm down.
He was unaware that she started to bleed because he didn't have the surgical background, he didn't have the surgical training.
I practically begged them to call an ambulance. And once I realized that they're not going to do it for me, I realized I had to do it for myself.
Medical staff there were oblivious to the fact that she was almost dying in front of their own eyes.
5 hours after waking up, Keisha finally reached the hospital.
The tests came back after a few hours saying that I had multiple lacerations to my liver, and there was a pocket of blood because there was internal bleeding. That's why I was in so much pain.
After she left the hospital on May 3, she went to see Dr. Reza, who admitted he'd stuffed up.
He basically said that, you know, he made a mistake and that he might have went too deep. And, you know, he mostly just apologised.
Days later, she followed up with head office in Sydney, making a detailed complaint.
It just seemed like they weren't really believing what I said about what happened because on my end, I was the only one who was saying my side of the story.
Despite the warnings, Cosmos allowed Dr. Reza to continue operating on other unsuspecting patients for many months, like Sinead Mullally. In July, she had a BBL with Dr. Reza. After surgery, the results were not the reaction seen on Instagram.
I had a lot of build up with my abdomen, and also both of my buttocks were like a different size and had a different shape. There was like a flatness to one of my butt cheeks, like I had been pressed up against the wall. They didn't tell me that there might be a risk of both butt cheeks being of different sizes. And they also didn't tell me that I would be at risk of maybe some type of nerve damage, but I do have that shoots down my leg, and that has been since I had my surgery with Dr. Reza. In my experience, they didn't even tell me about the risks.
Sinead booked in for a follow-up appointment with Dr. Reza. She told him she felt misled.
It got to a point midway through our appointment where I actually thought we were going to have a full altercation. Like, he started yelling at me, telling me that he'd been doing this for so long, despite that his technique was the best. I feel like he was practicing on my body and it didn't go accordingly, and he just moved on to the next people.
Feeling abandoned, Sinead connected online with other Cosmos patients, like Taylor.
I don't feel like I was cared about as a patient. I feel like I was just a dollar sign and, you know, now.
Taylor had a BBL with Dr. Reza in March last year. More than a year after surgery, she's still in agonising pain.
I have an egg-shaped rock basically in my right cheek that causes me daily pain, and it really just feels like someone's stabbing me. I've not been able to sit down comfortably since my surgery, which was made over 12 months ago. Ultimately, if it wasn't for their social media, I wouldn't have chosen a cosmetic surgeon.
Taylor and Sinead say they both both complained to Cosmos's head office in Sydney. Taylor feels they didn't take her pain seriously enough.
I'm telling you, I'm in significant pain every day. It's only been 12 months and I'm not following it up at all.
So it didn't get better once you started getting in contact with head office.
That just got worse.
After several emails, head office offered Shade a refund, but those dreams attached.
I emailed the general manager, the attachment, it read that in order for me to get the refund, which they called a settlement, I would need to sign an NDA, and I haven't signed it. The NDA basically meant that I couldn't speak about them in any way moving forwards, that they weren't admitting that anything had been done wrong.
So they basically wanted to silence you.
Yes, yes, that's how I read it, absolutely.
Sadly, it's a common story for unhappy patients who try to speak up after surgeries at Cosmos Clinic.
I was just sick of people raving and saying, look how many followers, look how great they are. And that's why I left the Google review. But that, along with a few others, all were deleted.
When you look at its slick social media profile, it's obvious that at Cosmos Clinic, cameras are as essential as lights on camera. With clinics and day hospitals in 5 states, the fast-talking face of Cosmos is founder Dr. Joseph Ajaka. His skill at the big cell might impress some, but it horrifies others.
While he's talking to the camera, he's shoving a long, thin instrument that is about 18 inches long backwards and forwards into the abdomen, and he's got no idea where the tip of that is at all.
In another Instagram post, Dr. Ajaka is filmed operating on a patient without wearing a mask. In practice, plastic surgeon Professor Mark Ashton would never do.
Any surgical procedure requires the performing procedure to hear the basic principles of surgery. That includes wearing masks. It means they either don't care, they haven't done sufficient training to know that it's important.
What is important to them is protecting their image by making sure no one says anything bad about them. Among the tens of thousands of online posts, it's almost impossible to find a negative review or comment about Cosmos Clinic. But that doesn't mean unhappy patients don't exist.
I just thought that's not fair. They don't get to just do that to me. They don't get to just destroy my life and think that they get away with it. It's not fair.
This patient has asked us to call her Rebecca. In July 2020, the 28-year-old community nurse booked in for liposuction and a Brazilian butt lift with Dr. Ajaka and a Cosmos doctor. After surgery, she saw her results.
When you get lipo, it's because you have to be flat. That's why you get lipo to abdomen. It's a well-defined abdomen. I had what looked like rolled out Play-Doh snake bulging out the abdomen. There's no one here that he touched that better than it was before. Especially my abdomen. My abdomen is it's not just not good, it's abnormal. Did Dr. Ajaka seem shocked when he saw it? When I first saw it, he didn't exactly react. You know, he touched it, he pulled at it, he tugged at it. But he didn't seem surprised. But he did advise me that this was the first time that this had ever happened to any of us. How did that make you feel? Well, not not special, that's for sure. Did he ever admit that he had caused this? No, he just said it's your thin skin. You could have predicted this. It's just your thin skin. And I just said that's not possible. It's not possible for skin to be the way my skin is.
After revision surgery with Dr. Ajaka and another doctor failed in September, Rebecca posted about it on a private Instagram account.
So I created a page where I took videos of what it was like first day home, what you wear, what you had to wrap things around you because you were leaking. And so I recorded all of that, and then I stopped posting on my Instagram page. Why did you stop? Because I received a letter from the lawyer threatening to sue me for defamation. And I didn't know what to do. I had to, seek my own legal advice because I didn't know what would happen after that. It was just a letter to scare me off, to make me disappear, really.
It didn't work. Outraged, she decided to sue her doctors at Collins Clinic.
I just thought, I'm not going to be like that. It's not fair. There's no reason why I deserve to live with what happened to me. They think I'm just another person they can just shove under the rug and forget about.
The legal action on and as each week drags on, Rebecca's trauma continues to grow.
I'm still in pain today. I've been pain 24/7. What sort of pain? It's continual illness. And it just feels like there's pins all the time in me across my entire abdomen. I occasionally am feeling like a burning sensation. If it wasn't for my family, I would be homeless. Just take a minute. I can't eat it. I physically cannot work full time. It is too exhausting. And my pay literally just covers just normal, day-to-day expenses. It doesn't cover any of my house bills. It doesn't cover any of my rent. That's how bad it is.
It's smoke and mirrors. It's all an illusion. And as a consumer, you can't tell. You just have no idea what's real and what's not.
Social media is the shop front of the cosmetic surgery industry, and what we're finding is that the doctors who perform cosmetic surgery are actually making the patients the mannequins in the window, and the goal is to get more people in those shop fronts to advertise more services and get more patients in the group.
Alison Johnston and Michael Fraser were so concerned about the way the cosmetic surgery industry manipulates patients.
That's like a dangerous window.
They started tracking the social media content.
Because there's so much content that's put out there to follow, look at all that data and see what kind of problems exist. For example, with the expired posts, they are having more risque posts in the expiring content. And we'll look at patterns of particular sectors, for example, over a period of a month, and see what kind of conduct happens on a day-to-day basis.
They've developed software to capture everything that's posted on the Instagram and TikTok accounts of these leading cosmetic surgeons. Tens of thousands of videos and photos going back more than 8 years.
I think it's something that regulators should be using or something similar to that, because it will give them oversight should the public or a member of the public complain about their surgery or the conduct of a doctor. They can actually go back and see everything that happened within a time frame, including expiring content.
It's not just misleading. In many cases, the content posted by cosmetic surgeons is breaching the rules. failing to tell patients about the risks.
What we're seeing is multiple breaches every other day, essentially. You know, things like inaccurate before and after photos, using testimonials, that's against national law. There's this big theme that surgery is, for cosmetic businesses, just it's no big deal. It's walk in, walk out, almost giving you the impression that it's the same day, which is obviously not the case.
The patients are nursing homes in their beds, while visuals exposed patients dance with their heads. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread.
I think so. It makes it look so glamorous. It makes it seem you're going to walk out like a Kardashian and you're not. You're in a lot of pain, bleeding everywhere, days, and you're a mess. And yeah, there might be people that turn out good, looking great, good, but that's unfortunately not for everyone.
I think like yours.
People are just scared because these people are so powerful. They have so much money. They have so many resources.
In 2018, social media influencer Rosie Terry signed up with Cosmos to promote its Brazilian butt lift surgery.
Hey guys, I'm live with Cosmos Clinic today at 12, running a little bit late, but I'm excited. I did promote them. I think we collabed on the live, and I was meant to get fillers or workshops. Then what happened was surgeries came first, and never went back for fillers or workshops. And that will make me a hypocrite.
To patient, Rosie had Brazilian to Cosmos in September 2018. Happy with the results, she posted a 1-star review on Google.
I do probably love why she.
Later, she shared her experience with her followers on Instagram.
I'm promoted for them. They'll pay free fillers for promotion. I said, I will never let you touch me after what you did to my body, a 23-year-old girl.
Days after the post, the founder of Cosmos, Dr. Joseph Ajaka, filed a defamation claim in the federal court. But that only made Rosie more determined. So what made you fight the illegal threats?
I think I just got to the point like, what can they take from me? What can they do to me? I just wasn't ready to let them get away with it still.
The legal card has been dropped, but Rosie is refusing to stay silent.
I feel like the more me or anyone else speaks up, it's going to bring a lot more awareness, and people are going to speak up more because it's not fair.
As more and more brave patients speak out, the holes in our health system are plain to see.
It's mostly the Wild West.
To my mind, that is something that we should be looking at criminalising.
Far from the city, amongst her horses, Kathy Hubble feels she can finally relax, even if only for a moment.
I've now moved to the country where life is so much less stressful. I have to be in a low stress environment where I can be with my animals and my horses and my partner.
After cosmetic surgery with Dr. Ryan Wells and his then boss, the scandal-plagued Dr. Danielson, she was left with lifelong scars.